Hi, I'm Rana Hine-Hartman. Welcome to Funds TV. We're here today with Jeremy Souter from Standard Life. We're going to be discussing the pensions and investments industry and discussing how that is related to the asset management world. We were hearing recently some figures in the press. Actually, most people in the UK, for example, do expect to be able to retire with around 20 to 35,000 in their pension when they reach retirement age. Unfortunately, most people don't understand that that requires them to save approximately 12% of their salary since the age of 22 until they reach their retirement age in order to be able to do that. So I suppose we'll be facing quite a large shortfall in our pensions, and I think the major issue there is that a lot of people don't realise this until they're quite late in the day. So I think one of the issues behind this is that most people don't understand how the pension fund industry works and also how that's connected to the asset management world. So Jeremy Souter actually works for Standard Life Investments, which is the asset management part of the Standard Life business. And the main aim is actually to multiply the investments that people make so that they're actually able to retire as they would wish to. So I think with that in mind, it's important to just explain a bit about Jeremy's role in the business and how you look to create these kind of pension fund products for normal people that might be working in industries quite different to the asset management world and perhaps don't understand how somebody like yourself living and working up there in the Gherkin in the nice tower, how you would really understand the needs of your end clients.
Hi Rana, thank you. It's important to note that a pension scheme is an investment management product. It's a product that does have to have an investment engine. It does have to have products within it. We do have to provide a return that's greater than CPI or inflation or those of a bank account and interest rates. And it's important we do that in a way where we fully understand those expectations of our investors. So I think, part of my role is to not get really close to our investors, but really truly understand what it is they're saving for, how long they're going to be saving for, what environment they're in, and what returns they would expect from an investment product. If we go back 15 or 20 years, a lot of products were based upon indices, so you're just investing in the FTSE 100 index, and that sort of investment has a lot of volatility with it. There are big shocks to the system and big market crashes and big events, and we see lots of ups and downs in investments, and people don't really want that in their pension because you can be saving for a long time, you get to sort of your 50s, and then if you're fully invested in equities, you can see 20% of your value wiped away by the big shock to the system. So my role is to design products, and my peers to design products and funds that fit within pension schemes, that can weather those shocks in the system, and build solutions where people can have trust and confidence that they will get something at the end when that pension starts to pay out.
Yeah, I think that people need to sort of feel that sense of sort of security if they are going to put money aside from quite a young age or even an older age. People definitely want to know that they're going to have something at the end, and we saw recently that 40% of people in this country wouldn't have saved enough to be able to do that. So I think one of the reasons why we wanted to do Funds TV is actually to be able to connect the people working in this sector with the people outside the sector to really demystify a lot about the industry and how we are connected to that. So what would you sort of wish to say to those individuals, perhaps watching this from another location that's not really connected to the industry? What would your key message be to those people?
Well, I think the key message is that people do need to save from a very early age, as you pointed out earlier on, Rana. That to have some kind of pension in addition to a state pension that's of any meaningful size, you have to save for a very long time. There are no defined benefit schemes anymore where the company pays you a certain percentage of your salary going forward as a pension. We have to now save a part of our salary is to build up a pot that becomes our pension, which is different to the company providing you with a sort of guaranteed part of your salary. Those pensions don't exist anymore. You certainly can't join a company and have one of those pensions. So we're now more reliant on making savings by having pots called defined contribution schemes that are available either through the company you work for or individually through different companies like Standard Life and other organisations. And it is important that people do save from an early point in time, and it's important that they actually save as much of their salary as they possibly can, because we're in a long time in retirement now. And as you say, 40% of the working population will be having to rely on a state pension at some point in time, and we can't rely on state pensions being generous enough to give people the lifestyle or quality of life they want. So we're constantly thinking about product design in terms of the structures of funds that go inside pensions, and it's important from a regulatory point to note that everything we do is very, very highly regulated, is very transparent. We work in an industry that's extremely transparent. Everything is disclosed, but at the end of the day, we're designing products and funds that can fit inside these pension schemes that give people a bit more sort of certainty of the outcome of that sort of scheme. I'm not talking about guaranteed funds. I'm talking about designing funds that have no shocks in them, have lower volatility, lower risk, provide sort of lower levels of return than we've seen in the past of some of these funds that invest in high risk, high volatile strategies. What we're developing nowadays are low risk, low volatile strategies that provide some kind of more certain outcome over the longer term. So we're providing cash plus 2 or 3% per annum, but over a 20 to 30 year period, that provides that beats inflation. That is designed to beat holding the money in the bank account and providing some sort of certainty of a pot later on.
Yeah, so I suppose that's actually quite relevant to the way a lot of the people think about this industry. I think that it's important to note that asset management actually is there to provide the aim of increasing and multiplying the funds that are held, so that they are more meaningful when people seek to withdraw them. They should be, and most of them are, more successful than just leaving the money in the bank, especially with the interest rates that we currently have today. So that's really the aim of a lot of asset management companies, and I think that perhaps what's happened in the post-crisis world has been that asset management has kind of got bunched together with investment banking, and I think a lot of people out there in the general public actually don't see the separation between the two areas of the finance industry. Actually, asset management is there really to provide a role to our society. So perhaps you can just explain a bit more about the things that asset management actually brings to our society, sort of especially given the backdrop that people are living longer than they ever have done before.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in that we kind of need to demystify in some way what we do. At the end of the day, what we're doing is we're pooling and collecting people's money together in a fund that has this very heavily regulated structure, and investing that money in the stock market, in fixed income products, in government bonds and other securities that provide the return. So, but in doing that, it's important from our point of view to understand exactly why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and for whom we're doing it. So I talked about transparency earlier on, and it's important that investors understand exactly what they're paying for a product, and we've seen lots of regulation over the last few years in tightening that up and enforcing it rigorously so investors can see exactly what they're paying for their investment. But it's certainly important for us to make sure that we are building and designing products and funds that meet their future needs. So we're getting closer to the investor. We hold focus groups with investors, the company holds focus groups with investors. We're better at understanding through the institutions we deal with as well, and the corporates we deal with, what their needs and requirements are and what their pension liabilities are. So understanding where corporate pensions have liabilities, but also understanding where individuals, if you like, individuals' liabilities lie as well, and their liabilities are they need to have some kind of pension when they retire. So the whole process of us developing and building investment fund structures is based on that premise, based on the understanding that we need to provide these returns for investors.
And as we were discussing, I think a few days ago, what's interesting about pensions is that many people mistakenly think that when they come to retire, they will actually need less to live on than they have been living on, in their working life. But in fact, many people actually do need more when they retire. They have more time on their hands. They like to travel, do all the things that they haven't been able to do in their working lives. So it's quite interesting that people actually get to the end of that period and they think that they need less money than they really do. So that's also coming down to how we choose to live our lives. But yeah, I think that without the asset management world, and we have had obviously many shocks to the system in the last few years. But asset management gives us many of the things that we don't have in our society, in our world. Many of the structures, many of the buildings in London are owned by real estate funds. So quite aside from the fact that the asset management industry allows people to retire, it also does give us many other things in our world. So thanks a lot to you, Jeremy, for coming by today. And thanks to everyone for watching us at Funds TV.